Welcome to the Thinking Director channel, where thinking differently leads to living differently. There's a fascinating truth about success that few people care to admit. It's not some magical moment. It doesn't happen overnight, and it certainly doesn't come just from lucky breaks. Success is more like a massive mosaic. Each tiny piece is made up of the mindset, the habits, and the choices we repeat every single day. Yet, in the constant rush of life, most of us get swept up by whatever's right in front of us: a quick profit, a fleeting thrill, a passing compliment. We rarely pause to ask ourselves, the things I'm doing today, will they take me where I want to be in 5 or 10 years? Successful people share one thing in common: they see beyond the present moment. They're willing to walk away from an opportunity if it doesn't fit the bigger picture of their lives. And more importantly, they understand that every small step is planting a seed for a future they've already envisioned. Along the way, there will be times when you feel stuck, as if you're not making any progress at all, moments when you'll want to give up. But if you look closely, you'll notice that the most grounded, resilient people aren't necessarily the most talented, they're simply the most consistent. They don't chase every trend. They don't react to every ripple. They carry a compass in their minds, and every choice they make points in the same direction. And that's exactly what we're going to explore today, not just tips or hacks for success, but 13 guiding principles, 13 pieces of the puzzle that will help you build a life that's solid from the inside out. No matter the storms outside, think of this as a journey. Each principle you hear will be like a leg of the trip. And by the end, you'll find yourself holding not just knowledge, but a map for the road ahead. Now, picture yourself standing at a fork in the road. One path is lined with dazzling lights, upbeat music, instant rewards at every step. The other path is quiet, unadorned, marked only by a small sign that reads, "Destination, a few years ahead." Which would you choose? Most people, by instinct, go for the lights. We're hardwired to crave immediate rewards. But those who succeed choose differently. They choose the less glamorous path, because they know that what's truly valuable takes time to form. Long-term thinking doesn't mean ignoring the present. It means being willing to trade a little comfort today for a future worth having. It's like planting a fruit tree. You could grab a few unripe fruits now. But if you're patient, tending to it day after day, you'll enjoy a harvest, not just once, but for many years to come. Successful people often ask themselves, how will this choice affect me 5 or 10 years from now? They don't buy what they don't need just to show off. They invest in knowledge, in skills, in relationships, the kinds of assets that grow in value over time. The beauty of long-term thinking is that it doesn't make life dull, it actually sets you free. When you know where you're headed, you're less swayed by every passing opportunity. You stop feeling the need to keep up with others, because you're walking your own path. Think of Warren Buffett. He didn't become wealthy by chasing risky bets, but by patiently investing in solid companies and letting time and compound growth do the heavy lifting. Or Steve Jobs, who spent years developing the iPhone before the world even knew it existed. If you want to start thinking long-term, begin small. Stop comparing yourself to others. Spend a little time every day on a skill that will still matter 10 years from now. Ask yourself, does this move me closer to my long-term goals? And most importantly, be patient with yourself. Great rewards never arrive in a single night. They come like the sunrise, slowly, steadily, and when they do, they light up the entire journey. Principle 2: don't let fear take the wheel. There's an invisible force that holds us back more than any competitor or obstacle ever could: fear. It doesn't slam on the door or shout, "I'm here." Instead, it seeps quietly into our decisions, into every step we take. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of not being good enough. Here's the truth: fear never completely disappears. Even the people you admire most carry it with them. The difference is, they don't let it sit in the driver's seat. Think back to the first time you learned to ride a bike. The wheels wobbled, your knees got scraped, and maybe you thought, "I'm going to fall," but you kept pedaling, and one day, without even realizing it, you were riding smoothly, no fear, no second guessing. That's how we overcome fear, not by waiting for it to vanish, but by moving forward alongside it. Successful people treat fear as a signal. If an opportunity makes their heart race, That's usually a sign they're stepping into a new growth zone. Instead of asking, "What if I fail?" they ask, "What if I succeed?" I once knew a friend who left a stable office job to start his own business. His whole family opposed the idea. He told me, "Of course I'm scared, but I'm more scared of looking back 10 years from now and realizing I never even tried." That fear, the fear of regret, was stronger than the fear of failure. And it pushed him forward. If you want to loosen fear's grip on your life, 1. Name it. When you call your fear by name, it stops being a vague shadow and becomes something you can face. 2. Break it down. A small step today feels less terrifying than one giant leap. 3. Remember your past victories. You've been afraid before, and you made it through. Fear will always be there, but it's not your enemy. It's simply a reminder that you're standing at the threshold of something new. And sometimes, the only thing left to do is reach out, turn the doorknob, and walk right in. Principle 3. Stop making excuses. Excuses have a sneaky way of sounding reasonable, at least to ourselves. I don't have enough time. I don't have the money. I'm just not as talented as they are. On the surface, these sound like facts, but the truth is, most excuses are just a soft blanket we wrap around ourselves to avoid stepping into discomfort. Successful people understand one thing. Every time you make an excuse, you give away control over your life. Excuses turn you into a victim of circumstances. And when you believe you're a victim, you start acting like one, waiting, complaining, missing opportunities. There's a quote I love: "If it's important to you, you'll find a way. If it's not, you'll find an excuse." Steve Jobs once said that the difference between those who succeed and those who are still stuck isn't talent, it's persistence and a willingness to take full responsibility for the outcome. Think about a goal you haven't achieved yet. Was it really because you didn't have the time or money? Or was it because you didn't prioritize it? I've met people working full-time jobs, raising kids, and still managing to start a business or learn a new skill. They weren't given 25 hours a day. They simply refused to let excuses run their lives. I remember a friend who always talked about wanting to write a book. For 3 years, he kept saying, "I'm too busy." Then one day, he decided to wake up just 30 minutes earlier each morning to write. A year later, the book was done. The lack of time didn't magically disappear. He just stopped allowing it to be his excuse. If you want to escape the trap of excuses, 1. Catch your language. Every time you hear yourself say, "I can't because," replace it with, "How can I?" 2. Own it 100%. Don't blame the weather, the economy, or anyone else. 3. Act before you feel ready. Sometimes, you just need to start, and let readiness catch up. Every time you drop an excuse, you reclaim a bit of your power. And over time, those small bits of power add up, enough to completely change the course of your life. Principle 4. Persistence and perseverance. From a distance, success can look like a sudden leap forward, a dramatic, overnight breakthrough. But when you get closer, you see the truth. It's a long road, built from thousands of small, consistent steps. No fireworks every day, no cheering crowds, just steady, repeated actions, so consistent that sometimes even you don't notice the progress until much later. Persistence and perseverance aren't flashy, but they are the backbone of every real achievement. Anyone can start with enthusiasm, but only those who stay the course, day after day, eventually cross the finish line. Think about Thomas Edison. He tried more than 1,000 times before finding the right filament for the light bulb. When asked why he didn't give up, Edison replied, "I haven't failed 1,000 times. I've just found 1,000 ways that don't work." That's the power of perseverance. Each so-called failure is just valuable data on the way to success. The same principle applies in everyday life. Want to get healthier? It's not about working out hard for 1 week, it's about showing up consistently, for months and years. Want to build a career? It's not just about nailing one big project, it's about getting a little better. Over and over again. Persistence doesn't mean pushing forward blindly. It requires flexibility, adjusting your strategy when needed, without abandoning your goal. Imagine rowing a boat across the ocean. You may need to change your direction to avoid storms, but you keep heading toward your destination. If you want to strengthen your perseverance, 1. Break big goals into small steps. Each small win will fuel your motivation. 2. Track your progress. Looking back on how far you've come will give you energy to keep going. 3. Accept off days. You won't always perform at 100%, and that's okay. What matters is that you keep moving. Perseverance turns dreams into results, and results into legacy, not because you ran faster than everyone else, but because you refused to stop when others already had. Principle 5. Mastering time management. Time is the one resource we all receive in equal measure, 24 hours a day. No more, no less. So why is it that some people use those hours to build thriving careers and fulfilling lives, while others feel like each day slips away in a blur, leaving little to show for it? The answer lies in how they manage their time. Successful people aren't just busy, they're busy with the right things. They understand that being busy is not the same as being effective. You could work 10 hours a day, but if most of that time is spent on low-value tasks, you're just spinning your wheels. They live by the 80-20 rule. 80% of results usually come from 20% of activities. They identify and prioritize that 20%, the work that truly moves the needle, and protect that time fiercely. That means saying no to unnecessary meetings, to social invitations that drain energy, and to mindless scrolling that swallows hours without you noticing. One powerful method they use is time blocking. Instead of letting the day get hijacked by emails, texts, and random requests, they schedule specific blocks of time for specific types of work. For example, mornings for creative work, afternoons for administrative tasks, evenings for rest and renewal. I once met a highly successful entrepreneur who told me, "I don't leave gaps in my calendar, because if I do, someone else will fill them with their priorities, not mine." It sounds simple, but it's a powerful way to guard your time for what truly matters. If you want to manage your time more effectively, 1. Set daily priorities. Write down the 3 most important tasks of the day, and finish them first. 2. Limit time wasters. Don't spend hours on something just because it's easy or comfortable. 3. Make room for yourself. Schedule rest and personal time. They're just as important as work. You can't buy more hours, but you can make your hours worth more by using them wisely. And when you look back years from now, you'll see that success wasn't about doing more than others, it was about doing what mattered. Better. Principle 6. Self-discipline. The bridge between goals and reality. If motivation is the spark, then self-discipline is the steady flame that keeps you going when the initial excitement fades. It's easy to feel inspired in the beginning, to make big plans. Set ambitious goals, and imagine the success waiting at the end. But what happens on the mornings when you don't feel like getting up early? Or when the work feels boring, repetitive, or exhausting? That's when self-discipline steps in. Self-discipline means doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. It's not about punishing yourself or living without joy. It's about aligning your daily actions with your long-term vision. Even when your emotions pull in a different direction. Think of it like going to the gym. The results don't come from one intense workout, they come from showing up over and over, on the days when you'd rather stay in bed. Or like a musician who practices scales every day, not because it's exciting, but because mastery is built in the quiet, unglamorous moments. Successful people understand that self-discipline is a skill, not a personality trait. You can build it, one choice at a time. Every time you resist the urge to procrastinate, every time you choose the hard thing over the easy thing, you strengthen that discipline muscle. If you want to develop greater self-discipline, 1. Start small. Build discipline in one area of your life before trying to overhaul everything at once. 2. Set clear, specific goals. Vague intentions are hard to follow. Know exactly what you're committing to. 3. Remove temptations. Make it harder to get distracted and easier to stay on track. 4. Reward consistency, not perfection. Celebrate showing up, even if the result isn't flawless. Self-discipline isn't about denying yourself pleasure. It's about creating the freedom to enjoy the life you truly want. Without it, dreams stay dreams. With it, dreams become plans, and plans become reality. Principle 7. Manage your energy, not just your time. Most of us plan our days around the clock, hour by hour, task by task, as if time were the only currency that matters. But here's the truth. Time is useless without energy. Think about it. What good are 8 free hours if you're too exhausted, distracted, or mentally drained to use them well? Successful people know that managing their energy is just as important, if not more, than managing their time. Energy comes in different forms. Physical energy, fueled by sleep, nutrition, and movement. Mental energy, sharpened by focus, learning, and mental rest. Emotional energy, shaped by your environment, relationships, and mindset. You could have a perfectly organized schedule, but if you start the day with poor sleep, skip meals, and surround yourself with negativity, your productivity will crumble. That's why high performers treat their energy like an asset to be invested wisely. They work on high-focus tasks during their peak energy hours. They take breaks before they're completely drained. They know when to push and when to recharge. One executive I know blocks out the first 2 hours of his morning for his most important work. No meetings, no emails, no distractions. He says, if I win those 2 hours, I win the day. If you want to manage your energy more effectively, 1. Protect your mornings. Tackle the most important work when your mind is fresh. 2. Take intentional breaks. A 10-minute walk or a few minutes of deep breathing can reset your mental state. 3. Fuel your body. What you eat and drink directly affects your focus and stamina. 4. Guard your emotional space. Limit time with people or media that drain you. Remember, you don't just have a time budget, you have an energy budget. Spend it on what matters most, and your hours will multiply in value. Principle 8. Choose the right environment. Your environment is like the invisible hand guiding your behavior. It can lift you up, or quietly pull you down. You can have all the willpower in the world, but if you're constantly surrounded by negativity, distraction, or people who don't believe in your goals, you'll be swimming upstream every single day. On the other hand, the right environment makes growth feel almost effortless, like walking downhill with the wind at your back. Successful people are intentional about where they spend their time and who they spend it with. They choose spaces that inspire focus and creativity. They seek out communities that challenge them to think bigger and act bolder. They know that habits are contagious. Spend time around disciplined, motivated people, and you'll naturally start to mirror them. This doesn't always mean making drastic changes. Sometimes it's as simple as rearranging your workspace to remove distractions, or joining a group of like-minded peers who share your ambition. Other times, it may mean walking away from environments, or even relationships, that keep you stuck. A friend once told me how his career took off after he switched jobs. Same skills, same work ethic, but the new workplace valued innovation and encouraged risk-taking. Suddenly, his ideas weren't just tolerated, they were celebrated. His environment brought out the best in him. If you want to create an environment that fuels your success, 1. Audit your surroundings. Identify what supports your goals and what holds you back. 2. Curate your circle. Spend more time with people who inspire you, less with those who drain you. 3. Design for focus. Remove unnecessary distractions from your workspace and home. 4. Seek communities of growth. Join groups where learning and ambition are the norm. Remember, you don't have to fight your environment, you can design it. And when you do, success stops feeling like a battle and starts feeling like the natural next step. Principle 9. Know when to rest and recover. In a culture that glorifies hustle, rest can feel like a weakness. We're taught to keep going, to grind until the work is done. But here's the paradox: without rest, the work never reaches its best. Think of an athlete. They don't train at full intensity every single day. They have rest days, recovery routines, and even entire seasons where the focus is on rebuilding strength. Why? Because growth happens during recovery, not just during effort. The same is true in life and business. If you run at full speed without pause, exhaustion will catch you, and when it does, it can take weeks or months to rebuild what you've burned out. Successful people understand the rhythm of performance. They know when to push hard, and they know when to pull back. Rest isn't a reward for finishing the work, it's part of the work. Rest can take many forms. Physical rest, sleep, stretching, light activity. Mental rest, stepping away from screens. Quiet reflection, meditation. Emotional rest, spending time in safe, supportive spaces. One CEO I know schedules a thinking day once a month, no meetings, no emails, just time to walk, read, and let ideas breathe. She swears it's where her best breakthroughs happen. If you want to build intentional recovery into your life, 1. Listen to your body and mind. Fatigue is a signal, not an enemy. 2. Schedule rest like any other priority. If it's not on the calendar, it's easy to skip. 3. Protect your downtime. Treat it as sacred, because it is. 4. Shift your mindset. Rest is not doing nothing, it's preparing for what's next. When you honor the cycle of work and rest, you don't just survive longer, you perform better, think clearer, and live happier. Because in the long game, the winners aren't the ones who run the fastest, but the ones who can keep running the longest. Principle 10. Protect and sustain your focus. In a world buzzing with notifications, headlines, and constant demands on your attention, focus has become a rare and powerful currency. Every time you shift your attention, you pay a switching cost. It might take minutes, even hours, to get back into deep concentration. Successful people know this, and they protect their focus like a valuable asset. Focus is not about doing more things at once. It's about doing the right thing with full presence. It's saying yes to what matters and a firm no to everything that pulls you off course. Think of it like sunlight. Spread out, it warms a field. Concentrated through a lens, it can start a fire. Your attention works the same way. Diffuse it, and it's pleasant but weak. Focus it, and it becomes unstoppable. I once spoke with a best-selling author who writes only in the early morning. Before the world wakes up, she turns off her phone, blocks the internet, and writes for 3 hours without interruption. She says, "I'm not a genius, I just give my best work my best hours." If you want to strengthen and protect your focus, 1. Decide what matters most. Clarity is the foundation of focus. 2. Create a distraction-free zone. Physically and digitally remove what pulls your attention away. 3. Work in focused blocks. Use techniques like the Pomodoro method to stay fresh and engaged. 4. Train your attention. Just like a muscle, focus gets stronger with consistent practice. In a noisy world, the ability to focus deeply is a superpower. Use it wisely, and you'll accomplish in a few hours what others struggle to do in days. Principle 11. Reflect and learn from experience. Life will keep teaching you the same lesson until you truly learn it. That's why successful people make reflection a regular habit. They pause to look back, to ask, what worked, what didn't, and what will I do differently next time? Reflection is not about dwelling on mistakes or replaying failures in your head. It's about extracting the lesson, turning experience into wisdom. Without this process, you risk repeating the same errors over and over, stuck in a loop that wastes both time and potential. Think of it like reviewing game footage in sports. Coaches and players watch every move, not to shame themselves for missed shots, but to understand why they happened, and how to correct them in the next game. The most successful people I know treat every outcome, good or bad, as data. They look at it objectively, without ego. A failure is simply feedback. A success is simply a strategy worth repeating. Both are valuable, if you want to make reflection part of your growth. 1. Set regular check-ins, weekly, monthly, or quarterly. Find a rhythm that works for you. 2. Ask clear questions. What did I do well? Where did I fall short? What's the key takeaway? 3. Write it down. Journaling turns thoughts into tangible lessons you can revisit. 4. Apply quickly. Don't just collect insights, act on them before they fade. One entrepreneur told me his most important meetings are the ones he has with himself. A quiet hour every Sunday to review the week. Over time, these small moments of reflection compound into big shifts in direction and performance. Remember, experience alone doesn't make you wiser. It's evaluated experience, examined, understood, and applied, that fuels lasting growth. Principle 12. Never stop learning and growing. The moment you think you've arrived is the moment you start falling behind. The most successful people see learning not as a phase, but as a lifelong journey. They understand that the world changes quickly, new technologies emerge, industries shift, and ideas evolve. To stay relevant, they keep upgrading themselves. This growth isn't limited to formal education. Yes, they read books, take courses, and seek out mentors, but they also learn through experience by trying, failing, adjusting, and trying again. They learn from conversations, from observing others, from challenges they didn't expect. One tech founder told me, "Every failure is a free seminar, if you're willing to take notes." That mindset turns setbacks into stepping stones, and mistakes into momentum. Continuous learning also means staying curious, adopting what I call the forever student mindset, always asking questions, always exploring, always humble enough to know there's more to discover. This humility keeps you adaptable, creative, and open to opportunities that others might miss. If you want to make lifelong learning part of your identity, 1. Schedule learning time. Even 20 minutes a day compounds over years. 2. Learn from multiple sources. Books, podcasts, people, failures, each offers unique value. 3. Seek feedback. Let others help you see blind spots you can't see yourself. 4. Stay curious. Replace "I know" with "I wonder." When you commit to growing every day, you future-proof yourself. You become resilient in the face of change because you're not just reacting to the world, you're evolving with it. Principle 13. Think in terms of value and giving. Chasing money alone is like chasing shadows. The faster you run, the more it slips away. But when you focus on creating real value, the rewards tend to follow naturally. The most successful people I've met don't just ask, "How can I win?" They ask, "How can I help others win?" They understand a simple truth. When you make other people's lives better, you make your own life richer, not just financially, but in trust, reputation, and opportunity. Value comes in many forms. It might be knowledge you share, time you invest, or opportunities you open for someone else. Sometimes it's as simple as connecting two people who can help each other. Over time, these acts of giving create a network of goodwill that money alone could never buy. One mentor once told me, "If you help enough people get what they want, you'll never have to worry about getting what you want." And I've found that to be true. Generosity is not a loss. It's an investment. If you want to think and act in terms of value, 1. Ask how you can help. In every interaction, look for a way to leave the other person better than you found them. 2. Give without keeping score. Trust that value has a way of coming back, often from unexpected places. 3. Build win-win relationships. Seek outcomes where everyone benefits. 4. Lead with generosity. People remember how you made them feel long after they forget what you did. Principle 13. Think in terms of value and giving. Chasing money alone is like chasing shadows. The faster you run, the more it slips away. But when you focus on creating real value, the rewards tend to follow naturally. The most successful people I've met don't just ask, "How can I win?" They ask, "How can I help others win?" They understand a simple truth. When you make other people's lives better, you make your own life richer, not just financially, but in trust, reputation, and opportunity. Value comes in many forms. It might be knowledge you share, time you invest, or opportunities you open for someone else. Sometimes it's as simple as connecting two people who can help each other. Over time, these acts of giving create a network of goodwill that money alone could never buy. One mentor once told me, "If you help enough people get what they want, you'll never have to worry about getting what you want." And I've found that to be true. Generosity is not a loss. It's an investment. If you want to think and act in terms of value, 1. Ask how you can help. In every interaction, look for a way to leave the other person better than you found them. 2. Give without keeping score. Trust that value has a way of coming back, often from unexpected places. 3. Build win-win relationships. Seek outcomes where everyone benefits. 4. Lead with generosity. People remember how you made them feel long after they forget what you did. When you shift from, "What can I get?" to, "What can I give?" success stops being a solo climb and becomes a shared journey, one where everyone rises together. Conclusion: success is a lifelong journey. Success isn't a finish line you cross, it's a path you walk for a lifetime. Along the way, there will be peaks and valleys, breakthroughs and setbacks, moments of clarity and times of doubt. And that's exactly how it's meant to be. Every stage of the journey has its purpose. The challenges strengthen your character. The wins remind you why you started. The quiet stretches, where nothing seems to be happening, are often when the deepest growth takes root. When you live with intention, when you keep learning, adapting, and staying true to your core principles, success becomes less about a single achievement and more about the person you're becoming. So, take these 13 principles as more than just advice. See them as tools, companions you can carry with you, whether you're just starting out or you've been walking this road for decades. And remember, the goal isn't simply to arrive somewhere. The goal is to keep moving forward, to live fully, and to leave behind something meaningful for those who come after you. Because in the end, success is not measured by the trophies on your shelf, but by the impact you've made, the lives you've touched, and the person you've grown to be along the way.